Hi guys, welcome back to Musical Melodies of My Heart. And today we're doing something different. I'm making this vlog for you guys so you guys could see the Swaminarayan Mandir that's here in South Africa, right? Um as you guys could see at the back, I'm not sure if you could see clearly, it's written Bab Shri Swaminarayan Mandir, and I follow the Swaminarayan, and I hope you guys are gonna like this. I'm just gonna show you a bit of inside as well. So we're gonna go in now. As you can hear, the curtains are on. So we're gonna go inside, and I'll show you some more outside later. So guys, let's go inside.
Tairi moireti, maine mairi maire. Tairi moireti, maine mairi mare. Tairi moireti, maine mairi maire. Tairi moireti, maine mairi mare. Harve Shankar Jagani Kore Dhai Re Harve Shankar Jagani Kore Dhai Re Dhai More Di Maine Mare Lete Jai Jai Tamne Lai Lete Jai Lete Jai Tamne Shri Purushottamam Munivare Vedadikirtam Vibhum Tanmolakshara-yuktameva sahaja Nandam cha vande sada Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunatu Sahaviryam Karvavahe Tejasvinavadhinamastu Melare Taro Chakakakilo Shelo Algelare Koi Mavanaka Sumi Pagarandhanare Lare Koi Mavanaka Sumi Pagarandhanare Taro Chakakangilo Chedalo Alvelare Taro Chakakangilo Chedalo Alvelare Emi janne sangare आज मैं तो डिठारे अलबेलो आवतारे लो 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 गिरिधर प्रेमी जानने संग रे ओ आज मैं तो डिठारे अलबेलो आवतारे लो सुंदर मोड़िलुमे शोभे सिर ऊपरे लो
શ્રી સ્વામિનારાયણ ભગવાનની જય. પત્રિકા સાર પ્રથમ સભા જાન્યુઆરી, તારીખ 15મી ઓગસ્ટ 2024, દિલ્હી. સ્વાતંત્ર્ય દિન ને પૂજા બાદ શુભાશીર્ષ અર્થતા સ્વામીશ્રી બોલ્યા તેમના મુખ્ય અંશો. દેશની સ્વતંત્રતા માટે બલિદાન આપનારા તમામ દેશભક્તોને પણ યાદ કરીએ, તેઓ માંથી પ્રેરણા લઈએ. દરેક નાગરિકે દેશ મારા માટે શું કરશે એવું નહીં, પણ હું દેશ માટે શું કરીશ તેમ વિચારવાનું છે. તો દેશ જરૂર આગળ વધશે. હું દેશ માટે શું કરીશ એ વિચારવું. સને 2016માં પ્રમુખ સ્વામી મહારાજના ધામ ગમનનો 2 દિવસ બાદ આજની જ તારીખે 15મી ઓગસ્ટ 2016ના રોજ વડાપ્રધાન શ્રી નરેન્દ્રભાઈ મોદી દિલ્હીમાં ધ્વજવંદન કરીને સીધા સાળંગપુર પધાર્યા હતા. તેની સ્મૃતિઓ થઈ. વિવેક સ્વાગત સ્વામી કહે, તે વખતે નરેન્દ્રભાઈએ પાણી પણ નહોતું પીધું. પ્રમુખ સ્વામી મહારાજના દર્શન પછી લીધું હશે. વળી તેમના કપાળ ઉપર લાલ પીળા ડાઘ હતા. મેં કારણ પૂછ્યું તો તેમણે કહ્યું કે લાલ કિલ્લા ઉપર પ્રવચન વખતે સોંપી છે. તો આપે કહ્યું હતું કે ખૂબ ખૂબ મોટી જવાબદારી સોંપી છે, પણ સ્વામી બાપાએ એવું શીખવાડ્યું છે કે ભગવાન કરતા હરતા છે એટલે
છે. અને એમનો જન્મ આફ્રિકામાં છે. એમની દીક્ષા 2007માં પરમ પૂજ્ય પ્રમુખ સ્વામી મહારાજના હસ્તે એમણે લીધેલી. એવો નોર્થ વેસ્ટર્ન યુનિવર્સિટી, અ પ્રેસ્ટિજિયસ યુનિવર્સિટી ઇન શિકાગો માંથી પોલિટિકલ સાયન્સ એમણે કર્યું છે. અને પાસ્ટમાં તેઓ ફિનિશ હિઝ ટ્રેનિંગ ઇન સારંગપુર, ડીડ ફર્ધર સ્ટડી ઇન અમદાવાદ before going to Abu Dhabi Mandir. Instrumental in the construction of Abu Dhabi Mandir, currently handles the day-to-day management of Abu Dhabi Mandir. Very intelligent and good thought-provoking orator. પૂજ્ય અક્ષરાતીત સ્વામી, આપણે પરમ દિય આશીષભાઈ ગંગારામને વિનંતી કરીએ કે આપણે પૂજ્ય અક્ષરાતીત સ્વામીને પુષ્પગુચ્છ આપી આજની સભામાં એમનું હાર્દિક વેલકમ કરે. શ્રી સ્વામિનારાયણ ભગવાનની જય. અક્ષર પુરુષોત્તમ મહારાજની જય. ગુણાતીતાનંદ સ્વામી મહારાજની જય. આપણે સાંભળ્યું કે હી ઇઝ અ વેરી ગુડ સિંગર અને એ ઓલવેઝ વિલિંગ ટુ હેલ્પ એન્ડ ડુ સેવા. એમનો એ ખાસિયત છે. તો આપણે પરમ પૂજ્ય પ્રેમલભાઈ પંચાલને વિનંતી કરીએ કે આપણે પૂજ્ય દિવ્ય કીર્તન સ્વામીને પુષ્પગુચ્છ આપીને એમનું સ્વાગત કરે આપણી સભામાં. ગુરુ હરિ પ્રમુખ સ્વામી મહારાજની જય. પ્રગટ ગુરુ હરિ મહંત સ્વામી મહારાજની જય. નાવ આપણે જે ક્ષણની વેઇટ કરતા હતા.
શ્રી સ્વામિનારાયણ ભગવાનની જય. અક્ષર પુરુષોત્તમ મહારાજની જય. ગુણાતીતાનંદ સ્વામી મહારાજની જય. પ્રમુખ સ્વામી મહારાજની જય. મહંત સ્વામી મહારાજની જય. જોહાનસબર્ગ મંદિર મહોત્સવ. અંગ્રેજી બોલો કે ગુજરાતી? અંગ્રેજી. ગુજરાતી અંદર મિક્સ કરી દેવાનું. કેટલું આમ રોટલીના લોટમાં તેલ હોય એટલું કે પાણી હોય એટલું? The master of ceremonies has said to speak about Abu Dhabi for a bit. So, Pramukh Swami Maharaj, Adarshjan Swami, in the conversation that we listened to in the Patrika Sar, mentioned that Pramukh Swami Maharaj had a way of working where everything from the largest Akshardham to a plastic flower that was being bought in a Hari Mandir somewhere else would be, go through Pramukh Swami. And not because it was mandated, but because people had that attachment that they wanted to ask. We were in the car yesterday after the airport with Ketan and he mentioned how, even when the Hari Bhaktas here first thought about starting a mandir, it was only natural that your hearts would be like, let's call Bapa to ask him, like, we've seen this church and it seems okay, but should we or shouldn't we? And then Baba gives you a number to say offer this much, and you think no way is it going to be possible. And then it all happens. And never was that done because he said, Ketan phone karja. He has inspired it. He's pulled the strings divinely behind the scenes. In key moments when we've reached out to him, he's given us guidance. But it wasn't like you got a call from him every week, like, hey, what's going on? You know? It wasn't every 2 weeks saying, ayat luka nagjona, design mom ka nagjona, ayat atro nagjona, ayat lift mukjona. And yet you felt his presence all throughout. You felt it because you saw things happen that would not make sense otherwise. Shiji Maharaj does this in the Vachanam. He speaks about the fact that what is Bhagwan's Aishwarya? How can you tell in your life? Questions after that. How can he be the all-doer? And if he's the all-doer, then why am I responsible for my actions and this and that, right? All of these things come up in our head. It's a very simple way to understand it. And the Vachanam Shiji Maharaj says that God gives us Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, and does anybody know? San Shakti. No, he inspires it, doesn't give it right away. No. Shivji Maharaj says he gives us the power to have sankalps. Then he gives us the power to work for those sankalps, right? And he gives us the power to control ourselves, right? That independence. What does that mean? That God is the all-doer because, I'll give you a very practical example. Let's say there's a 16-year-old. I don't know the driving age here is, but in America, at 16, you can get your license in most states. So 16-year-old gets into a car accident, right? Luckily, no one's hurt, but it's a pretty bad accident. The car gets totaled. Who's responsible for the accident? The guy driving. Obviously. How about the guy who gave him the license? Slightly. Not culpatory. Satellite. If there's a guy on Mars, maybe, that we haven't seen yet, he's also talking about Abu Dhabi right now. But what's the reason? Is it the architecture? Is it the social media post? Is it because Akshay Kumar came? What's the reason? The location. Somewhere where you didn't think something could happen, and it's happened. And that is how you feel the presence of Man Swami in the project. The fact that the entire mandir has happened without ever asking for the mandir. Yeah. Yes. So I won't even say the odds were stacked against us. I would say that God made the odds favorable. We didn't have to have a PR campaign to convince people. We didn't have to go to do any of that. Because Mansai did all of it. Pramukh Swami Maharaj made a sankalp in 1997 that a mandir would be done in Abu Dhabi. After that sankalp, even the people closest to him did not really take it seriously and work for it. Because how could a mandir happen in Abu Dhabi? And yet, in 2013, Brahmaya Swami writes a letter to Sheikh Nayan, the tolerance minister. And in that letter, he just lets him know that, look, we would love to legally worship within country. We have a home in Dubai. And we would like it if you could help us, teach us how to legalize that place. There's already a house behind the Union Co-op in El Satwa. Vijay Bhai and others have been there, right? And after the Shraddhanjali Sabha, we got a letter that identified a piece of land that was 5 acres in an area called Al-Wathba. Al-Wathba is kind of the edge of Abu Dhabi. From Dubai, it might take you 2.5 hours to get there. And it was right next to an Air Force base. There was a palace a little bit, maybe 5 minutes down the road. Our neighbors were falconry. And to feed the falcons, you have to have a place to cut up the meat. So there's a place like that right down the street. But beggars can't be choosers. So we went to that site. Gotrai Bapa came there as well to do the Bhumi Puja, and we went there together. I took my fat self and put my foot on that ground, and on that footprint, all the water from the ground filled up the footprint. There's so much fantastic organization and very, strict disciplines and processes, but it's all circumstance and divinely guided. I was writing children's books in Ahmedabad. Brahmrai Swami needed a drone to go to Abu Dhabi. I started going along with him. The mandir site is given. Somebody's got to push this along and kind of do something. I don't know what to do. So I do a Google search. Google Mata saves the day. I said, who are the best architects in Abu Dhabi? And we made a list. We said DSA, Durban, South Africa architects. Right? It actually is based in South Africa. It's not actually Durban, South Africa, but it's called the Dubai South Africa Architect Agency or something, DSA. The buildings that are around the Burj Khalifa, Suq al-Bahar and these places were designed by them, as well as so many other buildings. R.W. Armstrong, the guys who built the presidential palace, became a sadhu, so I don't know how the world works. Sometimes it's a good thing because then you just Google people and start talking to them. But from common sense, that doesn't make any sense. How would you, who have no background, there is no RFI for what you want, there's no square meterage calculations, there's nothing, and you call the 5 biggest architects in the country and say, hey, we're going to build a mandir. What do you reckon? Funny enough, they were happy to help. The largest architects in the country, and we're talking to them, we've got these 5 acres, we want to build a mandir, we're not sure if it should be covered or open, so give us 2 design options, one with it covered, one with it open. We want it to be iconic, and we want it to be traditional. And you just pick whatever dream adjectives you had and put it on a piece of paper and say, come up with something. And by the way, we're not going to pay anything. None of these people had a reason to do this. You have to understand, these are people who don't do design competitions. And if they do design competitions, it's at a fee. And if you win the design competition, you're guaranteed the project. Here, it's at that time, how old was I? 32 something? Like, young 30-year-old guy that don't know what he's talking about, right? Says there's a beautiful mandir we want to build, help us out. And Brahmrai Swami also came to a couple of meetings to explain to them the history of what maybe this could be. And Mahan Swami Maharaj entered their hearts. All of them gave us multiple designs, yeah? And I'm talking about the most creative things you can imagine. And then we said, no, but not good enough. And we picked 3 of them to do it again. And they would be good based on the capacities and stuff. It's like, okay, did some Google search. I found the regulations of the municipality. I said, look, their grand mosque, they have ratios, right? Any government has a ratio. This many square meters of built-up area means this many car park spaces you have to keep. If it's a school, it's this much. If it's a church, it's this much. If it's a civic center, it's this much. So I said, look, the Sabha Mandap is like a community center, so let's apply that rule. And the mandir is like a big mosque, Juma mosque, so let's apply that rule. And then we have these Bal Mandal classrooms, let's apply that rule, just out of their own handbook. And the number came to 1,500. The same thing that the Hari Bhaktas were kind of agreeing on anyway. So now you had this natural proof. And then I said to Google, how many cars in an acre? Because we can't afford multi-story parking. And the government's not going to build multi-story parking. So I said 1,500 cars, which by our research means that we need 15 acres to include the parking. We don't have other land to put it anywhere else, and we're happy with this. He goes, no. We'll give you more land. But you take the parking outside. What's in between you and the highway? She said, no, it's just government land for like utilities and other things. Because that's the land. Because otherwise tomorrow somebody will build in front of it and they'll hide the whole structure. And he's looking at the map and he's like, what's this? And Brahma saying it's a phone tower. You can't have a phone tower in front of a mandir. And he looked over at his chief of staff. And he told him to call Sheikh Dia, who's the son of the then crown prince, who took care of the municipality stuff. And within somewhere between 2 weeks to a month, we got a letter from the municipality, a copy of the order that moved the phone tower down the road and granted 13.5 acres more for parking. Are the odds against us? Is the Purusharth by us? In any of this, have you seen some convincing arm twist?